Third time's the charm.
Yes.
This is a struggle show.
And thank y'all for being so patient with us today.
Everybody on Mixler, we appreciate y'all. We're here. We're coming. We're here. So today's topic is about, we're discussing differences. I was trying to find a better word, like misconceptions or misunderstanding or something, because I feel like it's like the way things are interpreted, misinterpretation. But
misinterpretation. Anyway, so today's show is about misinterpretation.
Yeah, so we got a couple things that, actually this was a suggestion from somebody. So there's a couple of things that you can like compare, dissect, and figure out, the difference between them. So the first one is being liked. This is what sparked the whole show. Being liked versus being valued.
And any comments y'all have, y'all know what to do. And any comparisons y'all have, y'all know what to do.
Yeah. Yes, please give us comparisons.
So give us some comparisons, some misinterpretations. It has to be something versus something else.
Yes. So what do you think is
being liked versus being valued? If I had to give an example, being liked is normal as far as like you follow somebody on Instagram and you literally like them, as in like their pictures, or you like them as a person, or they're cool, or whatever, but it's nothing past the surface. I think value comes into play, not even because you can value anybody, but on a certain level, value comes into play when you've gotten beneath that surface that everybody else sees. So somebody can very much like you and not value you. And if you value somebody, it's both.
Yeah. I think the difference when you're being valued, people realize, now this is about to be a spin, y'all. I think like versus value. I think when you value somebody, the other person realizes how lucky they are for you to like them.
Yes.
Like they recognize that you don't have to be here, that you don't have to do what you do, that they maybe didn't even have to meet you, whatever, and they don't want to take that for granted, because that's what value basically is. Right. When you appreciate, when you can like acknowledge what somebody's worth and then not want to jeopardize it. Because a lot of people can say, I got a good woman. They can say they value her, but your actions are different. So when you value somebody, you can't act as if you're okay with losing her or doing things that would jeopardize it, because do you really value it? And who wants somebody that value people but don't act like they value them, because you just seem so fake and
finicky. And and it can
be uncommitted.
And it can be confusing to certain women. I can't say low self-esteem or anything, but just to certain women, it can be confusing. A woman can think just because a man like you means he'll value you, and that's just not the case.
And I don't want to throw no shade, but sometimes, that's not what I was going to say, because this ain't going to sound like shade. But, if you don't value yourself, he can't value you. So it's kind of like, we may think that the like eventually will become you being valued, but that may not be the case if you're not right with yourself. It may never even get to that with you and him, basically.
Indeed. So that's how we feel about being liked versus being valued. And once again, if y'all have anything to say, make sure y'all drop it in the comments. Now,
are we gonna do first? What you about to say?
Now, we do have one that said thick versus fat, LOL. Speaking because of the peep game question, I'm sure. Thick versus fat is relative.
Yeah, and I think I think thick was created for black girls, but thick was created for people outside of black thought were fat. Like, if you're not black, you think she's fat, but if you're black, you think she's thick. Like, I feel like that's where the term thick came into play, where it's thick more natural and just what's going on.
Genetics.
Like, it's just normal to the black community that's thick, because other people would think it was fat.
Yeah, because thick is like PHAT. I remember when that was a big thing. PHAT, pretty high and tempting. PHAT.
What you have a movie called Fat or something? I don't know. Miss K got all the suggestions.
Okay, so we're not going to do hers yet.
We not?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Committed versus being together.
Committed versus together. Yes. Now, when y'all get the rum out, just know y'all gotta have the
I'm going to take a stab and say...
I'll stab next.
Together is like where we have I hope maybe we have an understanding. Maybe we have an understanding or whatever, or maybe we haven't had the exclusive conversation, exclusive talk, I guess. I don't know. Is that what together means? And then committed would mean we've had a conversation. We know what we think about, what kind of relationship we're in.
Because in some sense, I would say maybe, no, I can't even say that.
Yeah, together, I mean, in terms of the verses, it makes me think together is just like talking. But I don't know. Kendra, you got to explain what, if you know, explain the difference.
Yeah, what is the difference for you?
We ain't what, Ladarius? We ain't together if we ain't committed. That's the one you right there.
Makes sense.
Right. That's why I'm confused.
Being liked versus being respected. Do you have to be liked in order to be...
Wait, hold on. I wasn't finished.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, now the problem with committed versus together would be, like how Ladarius said, we not together if we not committed. The problem would be if we think there's a difference.
Because being committed and being together.
Because these are kind of things where there's a difference that, we should be able to recognize. If we think there's a difference between committed and together, that's our problem right now, because now we got fine lines. We're like, oh, I didn't know we was together. I didn't know we was committed. That's how I feel.
And I was about to say, and that's when communication just messed y'all all the way up, because y'all are...
We know some people that's together.
Yeah, honey. Because y'all are committed. I mean, usually one person
together to be committed.
Right. Usually one person is committed and the other person just saying y'all together, and it's just like whatever.
Okay, Miss K5 said thinking together is you don't have an end in mind. Okay, I can get with that.
Oh, like just
we're
living.
Just together. Yeah, we're together. But
some people don't.
Committed implies we're headed somewhere.
Okay, got you.
The one you had said.
Being liked versus being respected. Do you have to be liked in order to be respected?
Mm-mm.
You don't have to be liked in order to be...
No.
Everybody deserves respect.
Yeah. I don't think you have to be liked just because we're all we're all different in what we like. In preference, I may not like... I'm about to say I may not like my manager. But we ain't going to even use that example because
she might be
there's
listening.
no respect. But I may not like my uncle. Like maybe he gets on my nerves the way he acts, or maybe something. But he's a man, he's a father, he's a this. I respect him because he's lived, he's provided, he's a good role model. Something he just may not be my cup of tea per se.
Indeed. Conceited versus confident. Shout out to my mom for that. Okay.
Oh yeah,
that's
shout out to Ladarius because he said cocky versus confident.
Same. Oh, Jesus.
So I think that.
It's a fine line.
I really hate the word, I don't like the word conceited. I mean, conceited just, that sounds like
conceited
trouble.
sounds
but
terrible.
Cocky, I don't like when people use the word cocky. I think sometimes people use the word cocky or conceited to describe people who are, dare I say, past confident. Because when I think of that, I think about Kanye West. And I don't have a problem with Kanye West. I don't have a problem with him thinking that he's the best of what he's doing. But people feel some type of way that he says it. And
but it's like the thing about confidence is if he don't walk around feeling like that, you never know what a person has to tell themselves to keep themselves going.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if that's what keeps him going, is him saying the things that he may not even believe, but he's speaking them into existence.
But I'm not even saying that, because the fact of the matter is Kanye is talented. So it's like when somebody that's talented says, I'm super talented, you like, they overconfident. To me,
but it's like, no, you just believe in yourself.
Yeah, and it's like, and I'm not even believing in lies. So if everybody's buying my album, why can't I say I made a great album? Like, I think that people use cocky and and conceited in a way to almost like keep people down a little bit. Like, you can be confident, but don't be this. But it's like, that doesn't mean that's where they're at. I don't like that.
I agree with everything you said, and I've been told that you conceited or whatever, but when you grow and you learn yourself and the impact that you've had on people and how you what your energy does, when you say what you know, that is what, like how she was saying, Kanye West, when you say the things that you know, people don't expect you to be so blunt about yourself in a good way. Like, and that's kind of crazy how you can't just be real about who you are. Like, I go to an interview and it's like, so tell me about yourself. And I wouldn't personally say this, but in my head it's just like, oh, I'm that nigga. Like that's what you know, and it's not even no nothing. It's just like that's just what I feel about myself. Like I'm a dope individual, and you'll be losing if you don't hire me for your company.
I forgot what I was gonna say, and it was gonna be so good. But what was the first thing that I don't know the first? Dang it, I hate when that happens. But I just think that when you were saying when you learn yourself, I was thinking that when you get to know yourself and you're confident in what people think is conceited, it's almost like I think conceited is about how you make other people feel. That's what I was gonna say. Yes? No?
Yes.
Because conceited is a word that we use when the other person feels inferior to me. Because if I've been on a voyage, whether I'm 40, 50, 20, or I done came into myself and I'm feeling myself, the only reason somebody thinks I'm conceited is because of the way I'm making them feel about how happy I am with myself.
Right.
You're not going to run into, I'm not going to be 20 thinking I'm the bomb and, or no, I'm not going to be 50 thinking I'm the bomb and a 20-year-old is like, she thinks she all that because...
You think I'm all that.
Yeah, and we're not on that level. Like, we're not, a 20-year-old's not concerned with that 50-year-old. So she's not going to feel like the lady thinks she's conceited. She's going to be like, go ahead, girl, you 50, you look good. Because she's on a different level. But when somebody's on your level, they usually try to say, oh, you think you this? And it's like, no, like, we should all think that we're this, to be quite honest. And if more people did, we would have a lot less problems with self-esteem and how it manifests.
We got a comment that says confidence can be feeling like that and letting everybody else say it for you. But on the other hand, you don't have to be quiet about who you are and what you know about yourself.
And that's a very good point because that's another thing to say when I was referencing Kanye West. This is when Kanye does interviews and you ask him about himself.
Yes.
So we're not saying that he's walking down the street like, I'm the best. Because usually those people are the people that aren't the best. So it's like Ladarius said, you let people say it for you, but when you're a celebrity and you get interviewed about your project and then people say, I think it's the best work I ever did, I think you can't, it's like this ridiculous line, and then you flip the other side, you take people that like Beyonce, who are just like superstars bigger than life on stage and very, act like they didn't do anything just now. And some people are like, she acting like she ain't good. And it's like,
so what? And that's just saying, you just doomed if you do, doomed if you don't. Like, that's what it gets to. That's what it gets to.
Got all the verses. Go ahead.
So, that was a joke. That's it. Okay, so the next one is being honest versus being rude.
Oh,
and this
is a friend I know so well.
This is
close to home.
Yes, it's close to home for me honestly.
I mean,
because
I think that when you're this kind of goes back to the conceited thing or how I was talking about Kanye. If you ask me and I tell you the truth, I'm not rude. I'm honest. It's a very slim chance that it's rude when you ask me. Like, when it's rude, it's kind of like I said it just, I act like I didn't even know you, like that type of thing. I think that's when I do when it's rude. But if you ask me and I give you an honest answer, that's honest. Like, it's not rude. Rude is when you didn't invite, unsolicited advice, can come off rude.
Right. And not even just advice, just a person in general. Like, you could just be a rude person. Like walking, we talked about this before, like women walking into a room where other women are and you might just speak to the guys. That's rude. Like, you walk in and you speak, address us, let us know what's going on. Like, come in and you say, hey, if you don't, that's rude.
Yeah.
Now, if you came in and we all looking at you crazy and you don't say nothing, that ain't rude. That's just your honest reaction.
And yes, fair game is honest. We're not rude.
Yes, that is so fair game. Because we really, and a lot of times, rude is relative too. Rude depends on the type of emotions or the level of sensitivity a person has. And like Pierre Durand said, when you ask somebody something, what their response is their response. Like, I'm not off rip thinking about, okay, how am I about to say this? Like, because you asking me a question, that's just like, how you doing today? You'll either be like, girl, like, either way your response is genuine.
That's
because you're being asked
sometimes
the
you
question.
regret asking people how they doing when they tell you all that. And people are like, well, why'd you ask? Because you don't expect people to tell you all that, so that might be the same thing.
That too.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, with the person's feelings being in the play, I think that's true because sometimes I find myself literally thinking how I'm gonna say this. Like, this is like you know, I'm coming to them. It's not that they ask me or something. I know they're sensitive, whatever. And you think about what you're going to say to them. And some people, no matter how you say it, they're going to be offended. You know, like we see it on reality shows when we're watching it, we like, dang, that wasn't me. And the person is like, they trying me. And that comes from how people take it. Sometimes people going to take it rude just because they want to take it rude, you know.
We got some comments. I'm blunt, which comes off as rude. But if you ask me question, expect honesty. Unless I can tell you maybe a little sensitive, I scale it back. But I'll always be honest, just like I expect you to be honest with me. And thank you for saying that, because that's something about me I feel that I'm real about. Like, I'm real with myself. So, and I said this before too on the show, if I'm real with myself, if I could hurt my feelings sometimes, just being real, it's like, what make you think, no offense, but what make you think I'm going to spare your feelings? Especially if you ask me something. Like, especially if you ask me, like, if I ask me myself questions, my answers to myself be like, dang. Like, it's reality. You got to be a realist with yourself, because everybody isn't. And when you want a person to be real with you, be able to take it, because you should be being real with yourself.
Yeah, people just be, some people just don't know how to take honesty. Some people are unfamiliar with it. When you hang in a circle with people that maybe don't tell fake. You know, not even fake, but just where y'all just don't have real life conversations. You know, it's like we scratch the surface. We don't never really get into it, or maybe they just only listen to you vent and they don't never help you with a solution. That's not real. Like, you know, it's not fake per se, but it's just not productive. And I feel like sometimes people are just you know, stuck in those kind of relationships, and then you meet somebody and you like, you know, hold up. And I know I'm real with myself only because when I talk to somebody about myself and I say what I think about it and how I handled it or whatever, they'll say, no, I don't think that, come on now. Like, they think I'm being dramatic, but it's like, that's how I really feel when I'm talking about myself. So I know I do it
right, and that's what I was saying. It's just like you get to a certain level of realness with yourself to where it's like I don't even mind what nobody else got to say about what I'm saying, because at the end of the day, this is how I feel about it. Like, period. This is how I feel, and this is what it is. On the other side. I did. Oh. So the next one from there. And shout out to the listeners. Our listener number just keep going up and up and up. Shout out to y'all. We see y'all. Not really, but we see y'all.
Helpful versus. Oh my gosh, Chanel.
You told me this one, I think.
Really? I think I just
helpful versus overbearing.
I don't know. It's on the bottom. I don't know. But helpful versus overbearing. Maybe I did, because this was sparked by moms.
This is not mine.
Okay, yeah, this was sparked by some mothers. Because there's a huge difference in helping your child and being overbearing to where you are riding them. You want them to do what you want them to do, and you want to make sure they do it this way and all this. And it's like, you know, the role of a mother is to prepare them and then hope they, you know, use what you taught them. Not to prepare them, then make sure you use what I taught you and, you know, all of that, because it becomes overbearing.
Yeah, it's just, and that's definitely one that I feel like friends aren't overbearing. You know, there might be friends like that, but usually the overbearingness come from older family members in your personal family.
I think friends can be protective.
Yeah, friends can definitely be overprotective. But because it's definitely like one of those type things like, okay, you taught us, now just let us go. Don't try to let us go and then you coming with us still. Like, no, you gotta really just let us grow and go. Period.
Okay.
When they can't fend for themselves.
So this is one that I liked a lot because I just discovered that it's something that's important to me in the last year. Being impactful versus being popular. And I think I said this on the show before, that when I was little, I used to always say I wanted to be famous. And then it was like an age where I was like, I realized I associated fame with being impactful, making a difference. So it's kind of like, Instagram got plenty of popular people.
And they ain't doing nothing for nobody.
You're not making an impact modeling this boutique every day in flat tummy tea. You may think that you are, but you're not. And I think that we get that confused with social media so much. Even people that are making an impact and popular, they get lost in the shuffle because we almost like their popularity more than their impact. Like a celebrity that maybe is a basketball player, but maybe funds a bunch of boys that do school.
Kevin Durant.
Yeah, we like it for it's okay, but we really care about his basketball. You know, about what he's popular for. Right. So it's almost like we show the world what we think is important, and it's like
what?
Yeah, it's kind of tragic.
Yeah, I definitely feel like you being popular versus having an impact comes with age. Yeah. But I was popular at school, but just because I was popular at school, I was also a lot of things. I was rude. People said I was the biggest flirt. Like, I had negative connotations with myself from being popular too, which may not have all been true. And people that really got to get to know me knew that she popular, but she real cool. Like, she's a cool person. Especially when you see me hang with people that you wouldn't expect me to. Like, me and Pierre Javon been friends since high school, but people wouldn't necessarily expect me to be Pierre Javon's friend. And they would look at me like, that's your friend? And it's like, yeah, she mad cool. Like, yeah, that's my friend, you know. But I think the older you get with the popularity that I did, quote unquote, have or whatever, in those same ways, I get to have the impact on the people that might have knew me from school. But when you knew me from high school versus now, I've matured so much. Like, I've gained so much wisdom and so much knowledge to where I'd rather be known as the 27-year-old Chanel than the 16-year-old Chanel that was popular in school.
Yeah. And I think you're right. It all just comes with age, because we see stories of kids that, you know, the one kid in the community that had an idea to help the homeless. You know, that's like a 1 in 100 type of thing. So it's kind of like you just don't care about those things when you're younger. So it makes sense that you're more focused on being popular, basically. It's like, that's what you know. It looks good.
Our intern said, I'm late to the party, but here's the gag. I'm here, kids. Hey, intern.
I had one that sparked off of what you said about being in high school.
I got another one too after
the difference between being quiet and being stuck up. So this is something that I dealt with, which is a prime example of what you were talking about. So people would think I wouldn't hang with Chanel because Chanel is louder than me, which is not true because we're both loud. But the thing is, I wasn't always loud to everybody. You ask my family, I've always been the loudest person in the house. My dance friends, probably 12 and on, I was the loudest person. But at school, it was just not, I don't know, maybe it was like I wasn't as confident in myself. Because you got to think at dance, you know these people for the past 10 years too. So it took me 7 years to warm up. So it was like, well, by that time, you move to the next school. So people would think I was stuck up. But it's like, no. And I used to always tell people, I hated when somebody would say, I thought you was so stuck up before I met you. Then you can't think something about somebody before you met them. That means I'm not stuck up. Like, you know.
You just had a perception of me because I didn't talk.
Because I don't yell at everybody. But when you say hey to me, I speak back. You know, whatever. I can have a conversation. Like, that's like when you make a joke and they're like, oh, you cool. Like, it's like a surprise thing. And it's like, just because somebody's not running up to tell you who they are and trying to get some attention doesn't mean that they're stuck up. And stuck up implies that I think I'm better than you and I don't have to talk to you. And it's like, that's another example of you pushing on me what you think about me and, you know, making that be how I'm acting. It's like, no, that's your problem that you think I don't want to talk to you.
Right. And that's why, I don't even...
Yes, I was observing.
Yes.
I still observe.
And I still don't even know how me and Pierre Javon got so close. Like...
Science class. We sat in the back.
Which school?
And, environmental science.
Mr.
Lane, Dr. Lane.
Yeah, oh my God, with the gray hair.
Yes.
Yeah, so you know, like
we were the black girls that was, what are y'all doing back then?
Because it was like environmental science AP or something, a class I should not have been in. Let me just tell you that. Yeah. Somebody set me up for the okie doke. But whatever.
Ladarius, you are not quiet.
Get some look at him and see him at the club. Y'all might see him twerk.
No! I wasn't even going to say that. No lie. That's all Chanel this week.
That's me.
But, Ladarius, you're not quiet. I'm sorry.
Ladarius is very welcoming.
You are the poster child for...
a good time.
No, it's like... I don't want to call him Carlton. But you
Yeah.
are like the black guy, thumbs up. Hi, how you doing, sir?
But you're
not quiet.
Right. Okay,
okay, everybody's quiet. Great.
I'm not quiet.
Yeah, I'm not quiet. But even to this day, though, I don't speak if I don't have anything. I'm not. I don't need to do that. Like at work, people think I'm quiet. But whatever.
Right. Okay, so I have a great one.
Jasmine said
it's a great time. Do you remember? I have a great one.
Okay.
This is a relationship, situationship versus. So, living versus waiting. Now, I thought about this because, and I was told I could be, yes, living versus waiting. So, to live or to wait. Now, this came today while I was at work talking to somebody that I know, and
live, honey.
She's going,
I just got it. Just clicked in my.
Yes, like you gotta live. Honey, she's going through a divorce, and within her going through her divorce, she's definitely not waiting, other than waiting for the divorce to be finalized. But at the same time, she's trying to live her life, as in to continue on in life, like, and get over this man that she will no longer be with. And in the midst of that, she met a man who's waiting, but trying to live, right? Because he knows,
waiting for her or for another guy?
Waiting for her. He's waiting for her because he knows her situation and he knows her issue, and he knows that this is going to happen. The divorce will be final. But now he's in a position where, well, even in my wait, it's like, do I start living too?
Yeah.
So that's where it sparked from. But I will say, living and waiting can be they're definitely two totally different things, but they can be misconstrued. Because you can be saying that you living,
but you ain't really living.
But you ain't really living.
You ain't really living. You ain't living. Shout out to Toy. You ain't living.
You know, you're not really living. So I feel like
out where that came from.
They ain't living. So I feel like when you get in a space where something is dead, even if it's not dead, don't ever feel like you have to wait, because you only wait on something that you know. Like, what you doing waiting on my ride? Because you know your ride is coming. Like, you don't wait on things to try and get better or to whatever if you ain't married. Like, that ain't even where we at. So at this point, if it look like a duck, it's a duck, and you keep it moving to the other side, and you live your life. And living actually means dating, giving your number out, meeting new people, seeing if you can like somebody else. Like, you got to put your foot out there.
First of all, huge fan of this verses, by the way. This is a good one. I think you have to live, and anybody that knows me, I feel like that's just like a no-brainer, because it's like waiting, like you said, you have to wait on something that you know, but when you're waiting on somebody or something, you're hoping that person is waiting on you.
Right.
And in most cases, the reason we have to decide the way to live because we on two different pages. So I can't be waiting and you wait, because we would be waiting together. That wouldn't make any sense.
And it don't.
But I think that it goes back to what we say all the time. Like, women need to live. Like, usually women are the ones that are waiting for something, whether it's waiting for that man or just waiting for the heartbreak to be over, waiting for the next phase, waiting to figure out what they're going to do next. It's waiting, but it's not, like, I feel like waiting is not beneficial to your growth.
I was about to say.
Because when I'm waiting for my ride, like you said, I'm not doing anything. Like, I can't. If I'm waiting by the window,
yes, this is good.
I can't do anything. I have to be living until my ride comes.
Yes, and that's why that's why I'm like, it can
just
be so. Hey, it can be so misconstrued about what you doing. Like, just and I really say just live. Like, even if that's going to a day party every weekend in the summertime, get out and live. Get out and do something, because usually, like Pierre Devon said, the person we're waiting for or the thing we're waiting for, it ain't concerned with us right now. That's why we're in the situation. So if somebody is showing you no concern, no regards for nothing.
And sometimes, you know, we not, and I don't want to say like living is easy either.
No,
like,
it's not.
Living doesn't always mean that you're going out either. You know, living could be something that you've been saying you wanted to do that you haven't done because you just forgot or you were preoccupied. You know, living is doing anything that's about you and that's, you know, productive. And I feel like sometimes you have to live to keep on going. Like, it's kind of like if you in love with somebody. Now, we're not saying you got to start dating somebody right now, but you need to not be putting your hand up in every dude's face that come to you because you waiting on this guy. Like, it's kind of like fake it till you make it.
Yep.
Like, you know, I need to live because one day I'm gonna be living for real. Like, this is the dress rehearsal.
Yep. And that's exactly how I come. You said something I wanted to piggyback off of, but of course it slipped my mind.
I said living ain't always easy.
Yeah, you said a lot.
Sorry.
But it was great. So it was wrapped in swallowing.
And I think that that was a really good example of what the whole thing, the reason it started because of the divorce. Because I think we talk about, like, in the grand scheme of things, our lives are so trivial.
Yes.
You know, we are not going through a divorce. We don't have kids involved. Like, we are just, things did not work out with somebody. And it's like, when you compare that to real life,
divorce,
dividing your things down the middle, and child support, and moving out of your house, and things that really stress people on a daily basis, it kind of just makes you think, like,
how lucky are we?
Yeah.
And it really, in her situation, she has to do both.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she can't say which side of the spectrum she want to live on because, like I said, she has to wait for this divorce to be final so she can really live. But in the midst, she still got to live so she won't be looking like depressed Debbie Down all the time.
She's a mom.
And she's a mom.
You can't stop living when you got people that depending on you.
Right. And then for the guy, it's like, you know, granted, you have choices and you have options. And when somebody lays the plan out for you and let them know what's going on, that's your decision right there to whether you're going to want to wait. Because basically that's what she's saying. Like, we can talk, we can get to know each other, we can have a good time, we can even fall in deep like with each other. But until these papers are signed and done and dampered, I can't do but so much with you. Mm-hmm. And it becomes an issue because now it's like, well, I'm waiting for you, but maybe I should be living too.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, everybody should be living because what's meant to be, will be. Like,
exactly.
You know, if they supposed to get right, then they gonna get right. If he meets somebody for a divorce to sign, and maybe she wasn't as into him as she thought he was, you know.
Right, and that's where she is. She's the one, you know, I feel like when you're going through something crazy, the last thing you need is to be trying to go through something else. Mm-hmm. So for her, it's her on her deal, she's like, I'm good. Like, we could just wash hands and keep it moving. And if when my divorce is final, you still feeling me, I'm still feeling you, and you single and whatever, then we can make something shake. And if not, then it just wasn't meant to be. Life happens. But the living versus waiting, always choose to live if you can, because you don't get none of these days back. Don't nothing come back to you.
Yeah, I think, and yeah, agreed.
I like that one.
It was a good one to end on too.
When I wrote it down today at work and I talked to my friend girl about it, I was just like, this is gonna be a great one.
Yeah, everybody can relate.
Everybody can relate.
Okay.
And Drew said taking trips, partying, getting that sports coupe instead of sedan.
I had one other one, but I don't even want to do it because I like the one you did on. So let's go to the quote.
So first of all, thanks for the participation with the verses. We appreciate that. If y'all ever got one y'all randomly want us to talk about for the peep game or whatever, let us know.
Yes, verses be really
because verses is good.
So my quote is, it's more of a question, something to think about. But it's hanging. Yeah. Mm. What are you doing that's undoing everything you're working for?
Read it again.
What are you doing that's undoing everything you're working for? So when my pastor said this in church, and it made me think of the best example I think you could use. What's two examples you could use? One you could use is working out. When people work out, they may go hard for this many days and then don't go to the gym again, and then go pig out or something, you know, but you still have a goal in mind. The other one I thought of is in a relationship when you're trying to live, for sake of the last verse, and that person may be still, maybe they text you. Maybe you've been living for 3 months, and then they text you.
Don't undo it.
Yeah, like, you know, because let's not forget where we were 3 months ago. And I think that it's so often that we let people in general throw us off our game, whether not just relationships, like just at a job. Like, you know, maybe every day you said you were gonna, you know, write in your journal, and now your friends want to go out, and you haven't run and now you're too tired, and things like that you let disrupt what you committed to yourself. I feel like it's so big because if somebody, I don't want to say like somebody else can make you less important, but it's like if you set your mind on something and then something is so easy to come in and kind of like, you know, flip that upside down, it will make somebody else think, well, were you serious about that in the first place? And then what happens is you feel bad that you didn't do what you said you were going to do, and now we back 2 steps behind where we started. And that's definitely, before I comment, we have a comment that says, to go with this, tequila day being on a Sunday after church. Oh, yeah, that's
That's a stretch.
Just a little bit.
That's definitely undoing what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But like everything that I agree with everything you said, and the examples really set it in page just in case people didn't really understand what the quote was really saying. But you definitely have to make sure that when you doing, and you ain't doing. Like, you got to make sure you stay committed. Now, granted, as human beings, as women, as men, we slip, we fall, we make mistakes, but you know what I'm saying? As long as we continue to get up, you'll continue doing. So, like, when that person come back, try to backpedal, you might, but don't forget, like she said, because usually when things throw us off our game is the time when we need to do a remember when segment in our own lives. Like, okay, now 3 months ago, boom, boom, boom. Now this is where I'm at. So don't let this one little boom mess us up and take us backwards, because the last thing you want to be doing is gaining and losing steps, because you just ain't getting nowhere.
Yeah, and in the service that my pastor actually used it in, he was talking more about faith, so almost in a mindset, which is huge too, because it's kind of like how I think about me trying to find a new job. Like, you know, one day I put up a status that I just think is just the best thing ever. You know, the space in between angrily empowered and discouraged. Like, I feel like I live there, where you like, oh, I'm about to get, you reading this job post, you like, this is perfect, they need to hire me. You write a cover letter, you think you getting it, then you get the denial.
And it's like,
and now you're like, you know what, I don't even want to work here anyway. Now you don't want to apply for a job for 2 weeks. So it's kind of like, you can't let that get into your mental, because you still have to hold on faith to what you're trying to do. Because every time you doubt yourself and get angry and get frustrated and shut the computer and say you're not doing no more, you're undoing the things that you're trying to do. You're making an effort to make progress every time you apply for a job. But every time you get mad and give up on it, you're undoing what you're doing.
We got a comment that says, y'all are speaking my entire life. Backtracking gets me nowhere. I have to stay focused and committed.
Stay
and baby
committed.
girl, you
stay
can do
with
it.
it, honey.
I gotta stay with it. If Fair Game ain't taught you nothing, Fair Game tell you to stay with it.
Please do.
Stay
everybody.
with it, please. And that's basically what the quote means. Like, stay in the course. Don't give up. All our quotes end up generalizing down to the same stuff, just about life. Like, we gotta keep moving.
And, you know, really cute little segue. I meant to say this on our first show we did in June, but we are more than halfway through the year now, and I wanted everybody to just not to talk about it or nothing, but if y'all listen to our show at the beginning of the year, you know we picked a word to focus on for the year. And if you fell off your game on your word, start fresh tomorrow. Like,
it's still time
Monday,
to get
today,
back up,
whatever. And pick a friend that knows your word and you know their word and help them do it. Like, don't let the other half of the year go by the wayside.
Yes.
I've been meaning to say that
and
every
you know
week.
what? I'm glad you said that, because I thought about it too. Like, we need to make sure we tell the listeners to do a reminder. Like, we need to remind them, like, okay, y'all, it's July. It's about to be August. Let's make sure we stand on. And the good thing about a year in a word is, as long as you pick it back up, that's the good thing about life. It ain't ever really too late, to be honest. Like, sometimes.
And guess what? If you just start this month and you keep it up for the rest of the year, by the end of the year, you will forget that you didn't even do it in February, March, April. You're going to be like, oh, the last 6 months was popping.
Yep.
Yes,
and I must say, as a personal, just a real quick comment, I slipped off my discipline game. And you know when you did, and you see the things, how it can affect you, and why such and such this or did happen or didn't happen or whatever. And you know, and it's just, that's also a part of going throughout your year, though, when being able to realize that you did slip off and to get back on. Mm-hmm. So it's all good in the hood. We appreciate y'all. We'll be back next week.
Thank you for sticking with us through our technical difficulties, y'all. I feel like it took us so long to get started.
No, it did. And then people was texting me like, y'all need to get together. We trying to hear it. But y'all, we so sorry. But this is what happened when you real and you genuine, when you authentic. You get the real, the raw, the uncut,
yes,
the fair game.
Please subscribe to our YouTube page if y'all haven't. Because like we said earlier in the show, we're going to be posting snap episodes, different times. So you'll get the notifications on that when we don't have a show. Follow us on Instagram, Fair Game Radio.
Everything
Snapchat,
is Fair Game Radio.
YouTube, Fair Game Radio. We're consistent.
We are.
But
take note about the consistency.
In 2 weeks, don't forget to give us y'all comments if y'all have any. We love you too, girl.
We love y'all. This is Fair Game. I'm Nelly P.
I'm Pierre Devon.
Life is not fair.
But we are, honey.
Hey, hey.